are here with Ashley. Ashley,
Hello.
why don't you tell us, let's see, how do we want to start? Your house, your Patronus, and your favorite character.
My house, my Patronus, my favorite character. So I'm a Gryffindor. My Patronus is a Deerhound, and my favorite character is Sirius Black. So the Patronus thing really makes a lot of sense for me. I'm a huge dog person. I love dogs, and obviously Sirius is, Animagus is a dog. So I feel it's all very fitting for me.
So is that the official Pottermore Wizarding World Patronus that you were assigned?
Yes, that's the official.
Nice.
Official.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people who don't accept their Wizarding World Patronus.
I like mine. I was happy because I am such a dog lover, but I could see if you got something less desirable, you just I'm gonna do my own thing. What's your Patronus?
Mine is an osprey per the website, which I can see because an osprey, I love water. I love all things about water. You and I have had the aquarium conversation.
Yes.
And an osprey is a bird that is found very often near water. And for a while, I had claimed the red panda because they're one of my favorite animals.
Okay.
But more recently, I have felt like that is not quite true. So right now, I'm going to stick with the osprey and the official thing until I can think through. Sometimes I feel very hedgehoggy. I do love hedgehogs, and they're a little spiky.
Yeah.
I feel like sometimes I'm a bit spiky.
Also small but mighty, and also really stinking cute.
They are. I have a garden, and my mom's always trying to do the old lady thing, and she's like, "Oh, we should get gnomes." I'm like, "We're not doing that." And then I went to Joann's one day, and they had a little hedgehog holding a leaf over its head like an umbrella. I'm like, "We're getting the hedgehog."
Oh, okay, good. I was like, I hope you got it because that sounds adorable.
I did. She's like, "I thought you said no statue." I'm like, "It's a hedgehog."
Yeah, no gnomes is what I said.
Yeah, I said no gnomes.
Gnomes are really weirdly popular right now. I feel like everything is gnome themed. Gnome this, gnome. I'm just
and it's every holiday. I have a gnome. It's this big. It sits in doors. It actually sits on my end table that my mom picked me up. And someone saw it when we were videoing chatting, and they just went, "Oh, you're not one of those gnome people." I'm like, "No, this is the only gnome that belongs in the house."
I love that that's a thing. You're not a gnome person, are you?
Yeah. Well,
no offense to any gnome lover. So,
in his defense, his wife is a gnome person. And he's like, "Do not tell me if Target has gnomes because she will be there." He's like, because she every holiday, she has holiday themed gnomes, all of it.
That's too funny. So, yeah. A lot of people must appreciate that.
Go for it. If that is your choice, go for it. I just don't want gnomes in my yard. So let's start with how you found Harry Potter. What is your origin story? Did you find the movies first, the books first? How did you come into this world?
Yeah, well, I would say I didn't grow up with Harry Potter in the same sense that a lot of people probably in Pottergram did. I watched the movies growing up, and one of my best friends growing up was a huge Harry Potter fan. Literally her walls were covered in Teen Beat rip outs of Tom Felton and Matthew Lewis and Daniel Radcliffe. But we listened to my husband and I would listen to the audiobooks on long road trips. But it really wasn't until a few years ago now that as an adult I stopped and read the books. I was in a really, really toxic job. And I needed an escape. And I basically found that in Harry Potter. And it was my happy place. It was just this place I could go to where I didn't have to think about all the stresses of my job, where I couldn't turn off or I couldn't leave some of the work stress behind. Harry Potter allowed me to do that, in a way that I never had experienced before. So I definitely dabbled in Harry Potter growing up, but my true love and adoration for it didn't come till later in life. which is fun because then after reading all the books, like I would read the book and then we'd watch the movie like right after. And then we had a year of Harry Potter where we did everything. We did the theme parks and the studio tour and a bunch of really fun events. So yeah, for me, it was a little bit later that like my true love for Harry Potter came through.
That's be like an interesting perspective of like growing up with the movies and then as an adult reading the books and then like learning the backstory of the martyrs. And
yeah.
do you think that influenced you on your, like from watching the movies as a child to reading the books as an adult, did you find that you had like a different favorite character because of the age range you were reading at?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, if I had to like say a favorite character when I was younger, I probably would have said Hermione. And I still love Hermione so much. But as an adult reading the books, I just connected a lot with Sirius. My husband, and I'll share this, it's such an embarrassing story, but I was reading the books and I was obviously really into them. And I remember reading the book and reading that Sirius died. And I just immediately started crying. Like I obviously knew he died from the movies, but it hits different in the book, I think. And when you're on that journey, like reading them and kind of going from book to book, and you can read them like in one fell swoop. Like I didn't have to do all the waiting that everyone had to do as the books were coming out. And I just cried in the shower. Like he's like, I could hear you weeping in the shower. So it was just, I think I just had a stronger connection. I think I was just so heartbroken that, you know, Harry and Sirius never got the opportunity to like live out their life together and for them to have that time together. So it was heartbreaking. So I think, yeah, I definitely probably had a different favorite character now than I did then.
Yeah. And like thinking about it, like even with the Sirius Harry relationship, you get to see more of that through the books and those little moments of even just like the letters that you see throughout. Like you don't get to see all the communication they had throughout the movies as you do in the books. So you kind of get to know them more.
Definitely.
I mean, I'm pretty sure all of us have cried at the books.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of other moments that I cried for, but I just, you know, for some reason crying in the shower after
I remember being angry.
Definitely like
I don't know if I cried at his death. I remember being like viscerally angry.
Yeah. That's also very appropriate.
They were just like, I'm like, you just killed my favorite character. Like what's up with that?
Yeah, it was, I think of reading them as an adult and being able to do them, you know, back to back in the way that I did, it really, I don't know, it was just, to me, such an emotional journey. And maybe because, again, it was the job that I was working and everything that I was experiencing, like outside of work. And just, it really was like this, truly like this light spot in a really dark time. And I'm so thankful to have found it because then through that, I've just met all these amazing people and just, I don't know. It's been like honestly, it's been life-changing for me in a lot of ways. Like, you know, I think, diving so deep into Harry Potter as more of an adult, I think has just truly just been life-changing for me.
I feel like all of us can say that. Like there's something about this series that has changed our lives. And I don't know if it was with you or if it was during our group Potter chat, but like talking about, because, you know, there is a lot of issues that the author has been talking about lately. And for me, because I've had friends who have had other friends who are like, if you like Harry Potter, we can't be friends.
Yeah.
And like for me, that's where I found my friends. And that's where I found my community and the place where I like belong again, like where I actually feel that I'm accepted for who I am. And the idea of like, because I fully believe that the community has outgrown the creator.
I agree with that as well.
We have taken over this community as our own, and we have made it to be an accepting place and a very diverse place.
In a safe place.
Yes, in a very safe place. Like I feel like I can be a lot more transparent with these people because of the community that has been built around it. And like for me, the idea of choosing to leave the thing I love because the person who just happened to create it is saying things is very hard, because without it, I don't know where my friend base would be.
Yeah.
Like, and you and I talked about, it's very hard as an adult to make friends.
It's totally hard. Yeah. I mean, it's obviously, it's not something to ignore. Her comments, they've been extremely hurtful, and just, it's been hard to kind of swallow all of that. And when you think that it can't get worse, it kind of keeps getting worse. And, but I'd like to think, like you were mentioning, it's the community has created a safe place, a place where if you want to participate, you can. And I certainly, if people want to say, I'm done, I'm done with Harry Potter, like, I don't want to support the franchise in any way, because at the end of the day, we know it all lines her pockets. Like, it's not, but I respect why people don't want to be a part of it. And I think that
I respect all those decisions. And like, whatever steps the individual person has to take for them to feel like they are in a safe place, I want them to take that. It's just, for me, I don't know where I would be if I didn't have the group of people I found through this community.
I agree with that. I think it would be hard to walk away from all of the happiness that, for me personally, provides. And I think that, again, each individual person has to protect their own mental health and find their own peace with whatever decision they make. And, I think, similar to what you said, I couldn't leave it behind right now, because to me, the value of being connected with so many amazing people and all the friendships that I've made, like people I haven't even met in person, I feel like these deep connections with, that I would be just like lost, I think, especially like with the pandemic. And, it's, I think, even harder now to make friends. Like, I know we're still technically going through the pandemic, but, it's even harder, I think, socially, because we've spent so much time at home, and, it's like hard, you're almost maybe more awkward. And, it's nice to have a place that you can connect with people who have, at a core, this like interest. And then from there, you can build on all the other things that you enjoy.
And I think with the pandemic, it actually grew those friendships, because we already knew how to communicate without ever seeing each other. Like, that's how we met. So like, I know like some of my, like some of the people that I saw on, or even like people I worked with, wasn't communicating with them as much because I didn't see them. But like the Potter community, that's how we communicated. Like, it was always a virtual, like I've met a lot of them in person now, but it was always through text messaging or video chats. It was always through technology. So with the pandemic, you kind of lost the people that you saw on a day-to-day basis, but those people were there. So you just started talking to them more, because you just needed to reach out and have a communication for the day, because you were alone in your house.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good perspective. I didn't even think about it like that, but almost because you were already inherently connecting, like, digitally.
It wasn't extra work.
Yeah.
Like, not that it's like work to like keep up with friends, but like, if you're used to seeing someone, like your work friends, when you go into an office, you see them every day. It's very easy to continue that friendship. But then all of a sudden, if you're working from home and you're not seeing them, it's very hard. The
convenience goes away a little bit.
The convenience is gone, and it's so much harder to it's not harder, but like, it takes a lot more effort. And especially when it's like work people, you're like, well, it's work hours. I don't just run into someone in the lunchroom. I'm supposed to be working.
Right.
So.
That's very true. And then I think a lot more people then started just working from home in general, then like maybe didn't even go back to the office like after the fact. So
well, and a lot of companies adapted to that.
Which honestly is probably good for some of those companies, save money, etc. But
it's interesting to look back on that and how like friendships changed and formed, and what technology has done for those.
Honestly, the opportunity to be able to connect like through Instagram and then like Zoom and all the different things that happen, like Netflix party and all sorts of things that we did. Like, I just, it's funny because there were obviously like, there were the highs and lows of the pandemic, for sure. And a lot of the highs were like, people like deep cleaning and organizing their homes, and then
making bread,
Netflix party, doing fun stuff like crafting and being like, oh, I suddenly can be home and do all this fun stuff. But then there were obviously the really tough times when you miss out on Christmas because you don't want to expose yourself, or miss out on other holidays. And but yeah, it's so weird to think about all the stuff that we did just to like survive,
just to get through. And like my friend and I always joke because like we're both major introverts, and we're like, introverts love staying home and not being around people until you tell them they have to stay around home and not be around people. Like, we're fine if we get to choose that as our life, but as soon as you tell us that we have to, we're like, I want to go out. I want to go see someone.
I need to do something that's going to like deplete my battery so then I can go home and recharge.
Exactly. Like it's not as fun anymore. My battery's like overcharged now, and I need it to drain a little so I don't feel so overwhelmed.
Yeah, exactly.
So how did you find the Pottergram in that community? Like, did it happen after you read the books?
Yeah. So probably after, I guess like how I created my account, but as I was reading Harry Potter, I started to kind of like look at the hashtags and like, what does hashtag Harry Potter bring up on Instagram? Maybe again, a few years ago when the algorithm was actually like, showing you some of that content that you want to see. I would look at it just from my personal Instagram, like people's posts, and I saw people like Karina, the Magical Latina, which she had, what was her old handle? Because I followed her before she was the Magical Latina. I think she was like, I want to say it was something Potter, or I can't remember, but she used to have a different handle.
I knew her then too. I remember the switch and I was like, oh, what was she?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was now, but yeah, and I think I followed Miss Wizarding World and like maybe a couple others. I don't remember exactly, but I specifically remember following Karina, or looking at her account. I don't know if I followed her from my personal account. I think I probably did follow a few accounts. And then my husband and I went to New York to see Cursed Child. And, we were doing all this like cool Harry Potter stuff, like this way before the New York store, and back when it was 2 parts. And we were at like the Cauldron pub or something like that, I think. And I had all this cool content because we had done a bunch of traveling, and I was like, maybe I could create my own Harry Potter account, and then I could follow all the people who do just this. And so like I created my account, and then I started following, like, I think I started following like Nicolette soon after that, like, and I slowly amassed like all these people that I'm like, oh, I really like what you're posting. I like what you're posting. And so really just kind of started as like dabbling from my personal account to creating my own, and then getting to like truly follow all these amazing creators, and like really targeting the type of content on that account. Yeah.
I love that you remember that. Like, I don't remember how I like fell into the Pottergram. And that's what it is. I'm pretty sure I just fell into the Pottergram.
Yeah.
I know, because I had my personal account. When I turned 30 years old, I did a 30 by 30 list. Okay. So the year leading up to me turning 30, I made a list of 30 things I wanted to do that year. And one of them was the celebration. And I did great. Like, I had fun. I did like a new recipe every month was one of them. I took a rowing class because I always thought it was cool to do rowing. And I was like, oh, hey, there's this 6-week class. I loved it, like to the point where I was like, oh, I wish I knew this was a thing when I was a kid, because I would have totally gotten into rowing.
Really? Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
It was a sport that, and I'm not a sport person, but it was something that like made sense in my head to me. Mm-hmm. And I just like, even now I enjoy the rower over anything else. I just enjoy that type of thing. And then one of them was I wanted to attend a celebration of Harry Potter. Mm-hmm. So leading up to that, and I waited longer than necessary to get a smartphone. So I didn't
Was that like by choice? Like you didn't want to have a smartphone, or?
I wanted one. I didn't want the bill of a smartphone.
That's fair. That's
So
really
it was
fair.
like at that point, I
no
was like,
Blackberries, no iPhones, no.
I had like cheapy like flip phone. But it was just one of those things where I didn't have access to Instagram because you couldn't use it on not a smartphone. And so like it wasn't a thing for me until I finally upgraded. So I was like, slowly got into like Instagram, and I was like, I'm going to do a countdown because I was so excited. And I had Harry Potter things already because I read them since I was a kid. So I did like a countdown for like my friends and family. And through that, I just started. And then I went there, and then you find everyone on Pottergram. It's probably what kicked it off. And then I went there into slowly, like, I think I changed my name right at the beginning of the podcast because I feel like I remember an episode where I corrected someone because I had just changed my screen name. So I think if you listen to it, because it was Organic L for the longest time, because that was these are like secrets of my past life. I was a book reviewer.
Secrets of Dani.
Pre-Bookstagram, I was.
So you were like OG, like book talk, OG Bookstagram.
Before they existed, like blogging book reviewers, I still have connections with many publishers and authors that I still get their books.
That's
because
awesome.
I couldn't afford books, and I was such a reader, and I found a way around it. And I found out that publishers would send me books if I wrote a review.
I love the scrappiness of that. Like, I want to read new books. I'll write your review and send me the books. Like, that's amazing.
I'm reading like 2 of them that I have to review still. So I still have like that side of my life that happens. It just, a lot of people don't see it. Very big intersection of Pottergram and Bookstagram.
Yes.
There's so like we've had Rachel from Ravenclaw Reads on, and she is in that Bookstagram world, but I love getting recommendations from her.
Yeah, I follow her account as well. It's really good. And she's got really cool bookshelves.
She does.
But you think they're custom, I think, or made for her, or aren't they? Like,
probably. But her reviews are so thoughtful. Like she did when we did the gift guide last year for the podcast. She came up with like, I think it was like 4 books for each house. So she literally picked book recommendations based on your Hogwarts house.
I love that because, like there's some, I could see how that'd be really powerful just based on like your interest, your vibe, your persona. Yeah.
Yeah. And really cool. The books she reads, and same with Dapper Minister of Magic, they're right in the realm of what I read.
Okay.
So it's such an interesting place because like at LeakyCon, like for us, we take for granted that Pottergram is a thing. It's just like, it's so sweet. We're like, yeah, it's a Pottergram.
Yeah.
At LeakyCon, we had so many people being like, they would ask us how we met. And we're like, oh, the Pottergram. They're like, the what?
Yeah. People don't know. You forget. No. People do not know.
No.
And it's kind of a weird thing. You're like, well, it's kind of just this group of nerdy people who love Harry Potter and just love supporting each other and like posting all the fun things
and collections.
I'm like, it's basically like, if there was like a little slice of like a happy island that you could go to on Instagram, it's the Pottergram. Like
it really is. It's a happy
place. Just like your little, happy place. So yeah, I actually love trying to like recruit people to like the Pottergram. Like, you should just like join. You could either morph your personal account into it or
Aileen creating her personal account.
I was so happy excited about that. I was so happy about that. Because then she was like, I can actually post things from my like adventures and my trips, and I don't have to worry so much about it like with my business. And I'm like, yeah, I totally get it. So I'm excited for her.
Speaking of shops, you also have a shop.
Yes, I do.
So,
Kayleen and I are doing a little giveaway now too.
Yeah. When does the giveaway end?
It ends the 1st of October.
So that means, because this will be out before the 1st of October, that people listening should go follow Bits and Bobbins shop. And then what's your shop's handle?
It's at Mad Ones Studio.
And enter the contest because it is the Wiseacre skirt and then your celestial earrings.
Earrings and barrettes.
Oh, and
so barrettes. And also like, this is just for anyone who might be listening, all earrings can be made clip-ons because I know I have some friends that don't have their ears pierced, or we can also do a second barrette or something else if you win. So yeah, I'm very flexible with that kind of stuff.
I love that because I do, but I don't have my ears pierced. But I can't put earrings in, and now I'm a wimp because I'm an adult and I don't want to go re-pierce them.
You're a wimp. Oh my God.
Which is crazy because I have these earrings I love, but I'm afraid to go get my ears pierced again so I can wear them.
It's not so bad. I mean, do you have any tattoos?
I don't. I have one that I want.
I don't have tattoos, but I have my ears pierced. I have my nose pierced. That was like my main thing. Like when I turned 18, I was like, I'm going to get my nose pierced. And then I just never took it out. Well, you can always consider re-piercing your ears, but if you don't, there are always clip-ons. Mm-hmm. And it's also totally cool if you don't wear jewelry. Like, there are other things.
So did you start by making Harry Potter inspired things, or did you have a shop before Harry Potter?
So I've had my shop for a little while now, Mad One Studio, and it was really kind of like a pandemic baby. Like I was just looking for something to do. And again, I actually left the really toxic job that we discussed earlier. And it's just like, okay, what do I do with my time? It's a pandemic. I had all these plans to travel and do all this really cool stuff in the wake of like leaving the job and finally having free time again. And so I just started playing with it. It was really cool because it's very therapeutic to work with your hands. And I just started having fun and trying things or just making like regular earrings, not like Harry Potter style, just like little arches and like little half circles and things like that. And a few of my friends were like, oh, I really like those. Can you give them to me? And, it happened so many times that I was like, maybe I should start an Etsy shop. So I did. And I really just kind of started with some neutral basic type earrings and then started to I like to say add a little magic to it, doing like some celestial things. I really love moons. So I have like these gold foil moon phase earrings that are still to this day probably like one of my favorite pair of earrings.
I love the moon phases so much.
Yeah. It's like, so there's just something like comforting about them and they're so beautiful. And then I made my own version of like an owl post. I have a upgraded version now. That's a little bit more detailed, but yeah. So I really just kind of started to dabble in like Harry Potter inspired items. Like originally I was kind of trying to think in the vein of like, okay, if Hermione were in a jewelry shop, like what might she buy? So it wasn't always necessarily like the in your face, like this is definitely Harry Potter earring versus something that might be like of that world or, something that might be just like general earrings that someone in the Harry Potter world would wear.
Something
but now
magical.
I have a lot more. Yeah. And now I have a lot more that are like very obviously Harry Potter, which I love. And I think I've gotten a lot of good feedback on. So yeah, it really kind of like, for me, it was like, okay, I can use this like medium to make really cool like magic / Harry Potter inspired things. And I also do a lot of plant stuff because I love plants, like gardening. I'm a plant mom. So I've got like monsteras and like succulents and all sorts of like leaves and things like that. Just because I enjoy like natural elements as well.
Have you ever considered, and this is something I'm always looking for, and this is why it's on my mind, doing like the plant stakes for like gardens, like the little 3 to 5 inch ones?
No, but I totally could because I have stampers. Like I have letter stampers and number stampers that I bought because I was going to make like spew earrings, still on my to-do list, or like a little spew pin. But no, I could do that.
I mean, like I might commission you because I've always wanted like fun little. And I always wanted one that say like stupid things, like you'll see like the little yes, all the puns where it's like for mint, it's like a mojito in training.
Yeah, that's actually a really good one. I haven't seen that one.
I have a whole list, so I'll have to send them to you because they have that one, and then it was like, please don't die.
Yeah, like
and then other ones that just say dead, still dead.
Yeah. Slowly wilting away. Yeah, there are probably so many good ones. I could definitely do that. I never thought of doing that. There's a few things like on my to-do list. Like I dabbled a little bit in like wall hangings and started to add some pins and obviously barrettes, but and some car things. But yeah, that's a great idea. I never thought of that. I'm going to try it. I'm going to send you some photos and see.
I bought some, like one or two on clearance at Joann's. And I love the idea of them, but I also have like ideas for how I want them. And the ones I want, I'm just like, oh, I don't like that look. Like I have like clay that I can make my own and I'm just lazy.
I do have the tools, so I could definitely try it and see. That could be a really fun thing. And then there could be,
you can do dirigible.
I could take custom. Yeah, I was going to say, and I could take like custom commissions from people. Like if you have, as you name your plant something specific.
Mm-hmm. I have a plant named Neville.
Yeah, there you go. I can make a Neville tag for it.
He has a sign in him that says, "You owe me. I create the air you breathe."
I like that. That's another good one. I have one. It's like plants are my best buds or something like that. And I'm like, oh, that's cute. Like very funny. But
Instagram's been targeting me hard lately. But there's this one sign and it just says, "Grow, damn it," and I just want it for my yard.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and you have that beautiful plant, the powder puff / pygmy puff.
Pygmy puff plant. I have a ZZ in here. I have a pothos in here.
Yeah, I don't have any in here. All of mine are like in one room, the plant room.
The ZZ plant's in here because the internet told me it helps with stress.
Really? But they're also super toxic.
I don't have any
humans.
pets.
Like if you touch them, I know, but I heard like even if you like, say you're cleaning the leaves, like I wipe them with like a microfiber cloth and stuff. They're like, make sure you deep clean washing your hands because it could like give you something. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Well, this one, I don't usually have that problem because when I water it, I put it in the sink and I do like a full shower on him because he's in a terracotta pot. So I overwater because the pot sucks out a lot of the water.
Yeah.
So I've never had that issue. Yeah. They're not cat friendly. Don't get ZZ plants if you have cats, please.
Yeah. They're definitely not cat friendly.
You obviously have big plans for your shop. I've seen a lot of your stuff recently. Well, I watch Kim's unboxings a lot. And
yeah, Kim is the best. She is honestly one of my biggest hype women. Like she's so kind and she's just been supporting my shop like since I started, and she always shares and tags, and her fandom fits are amazing. And yeah, I'm grateful for her support, and honestly so many others. Like I couldn't name everyone honestly, but yeah, Kim is so sweet to like unbox things and share. Like it just anytime. I think that's the thing that's been so like cool to experience because I never really I did for a lot of photography, like portrait photography, like weddings, families, and so people would like sometimes say thanks, love them, when you would send your like here are all the edited photos, they'd sometimes say thanks. A lot of people never did. The only like gratitude you got maybe was like if they ended up making it like their profile picture or like you
and if they remember to tag you.
Yeah, exactly. So it's very cool to experience now, like every once in a while, just like organically, I'll see someone on the Pottergram like, oh my God, wait, those are my earrings. Like they maybe didn't tag me. And I'm like, wait, I know those are mine. And it's just cool to see like somebody wear something you made or like even like want to buy something that you made. It's a very cool feeling. I'm just really grateful that anyone wants to wear my things. Like I'm just
I
really
see stuff all the time, and especially because I'm at the parks a lot. Like it's always fun, like being friends of like the creators because I'll be like, oh, there's one of Kayleen's headbands, there's one of Ashley's. Yeah, like it's so fun to like because you get so used to seeing it that like your stuff, and so you'll be walking through. I'm like, oh, I know that, and it's just like a fun little like, hey, I see people who are wearing my friends' things.
Yeah, I feel like that too with ROR apparel. I'd be like, you're in the club, like, I have a few of their t-shirts and I really like them. So it was like, and I think again, because they were so specific, you knew like, okay, that's just their design or something like that. So yeah, it's cool. It's very humbling. It's so exciting. I still like, anytime anyone tags me or writes a review or buys from my Etsy shop, I get so excited. Like it's truly like I think there's like around the holidays, there was a little like TikTok or I don't know, meme circulating. It was like every time you shop with a small business, they do a happy dance. And like there was like this video of these girls behind the counter, like doing like a happy dance, like, you know, hidden from the customer. I'm like, that's how I feel like anytime something comes through, because they really do appreciate like every order and, you know, just the support. And it really has been, I don't know, it's just like to have your friends show up for you is a really cool feeling.
I think that's another thing with this community is like, it isn't competitive. Like creators support creators.
Yeah.
Like it's you so and Kayleen have teamed up with the giveaway and just like, we all get excited for everyone else's successes.
Mm-hmm. It's so true. And it's like, honestly, I'm just like, what else can I buy? Like if I can use my small shop money to buy from another small shop. You know, it's and that's what's really cool too, is there are so many great creators and makers like on the Pottergram. And I you know, it's funny again, because I maybe really kind of came to all of that, like the Harry Potter stuff, collecting the stuff a little bit later in life. So probably my experience of certain things was different, but I one of the first like Harry Potter makers or artists I ever followed was Anthony Wheeler, and he does like other fandoms, but he does a lot of like hand drawn like Harry Potter stuff, and I love it. Like, and he does a ton of like Harry Potter things. But I met him at C2E2, the Chicago Comic-Con. And he's just so personable. And I remember being like, oh, it's so cool. Like you make money selling these like Harry Potter drawings. And I think just the realization that you're like, wow, you can do something you love and, you know, make a little bit of money to keep doing more of what you love. And that's so cool, because there are so many artists and makers on the Pottergram that are doing just that, and get to like support them and see their journey and like see how they've grown or things have evolved with their
and like I feel like creators also deep dive. Like sometimes you're like, that is like a book specific thing. Like, or like even with you and Kayleen, it is the ceiling of a shop at Universal.
Exactly. I like specifically got this silk screen because like it is Wiseacres. Like in my mind, it's as close to Wiseacres as I'm gonna get. And like I really wanted to, like, sometimes it's interesting because when you're, you know, making something by hand and you want to incorporate some of those deep cuts, or you want to do something that's a book nod, like for me, it's like, okay, I took a poll of, I think it was like the book club I'm in. I asked, like, I'm like, wait, for my Ravenclaws, like, how do you feel? And you can answer this too, Dani. Like, I'm like, do you want the earring colors to be book accurate, or do you want them to match all the clothes that you likely have? Because Ravenclaw is constantly having their colors like misconstrued, basically. So the suggestion was to offer both and let people choose, which I think is probably the best option. But I'm curious, what do you think?
I am okay with the fact that the merchandise is a different color, because I understand the reason. Bronze is a hard color. It would not look good in a movie. As a knitter, it took me years to find the right bronze for a Ravenclaw scarf.
Okay, I'm so relieved to hear you say that, because finding the right bronze clay is also really hard, because the actual bronze color clay, I don't feel like is true bronze. So I have to add like an antique gold to it almost to like warm it differently.
It's a very hard color. And so I'm like that person when Ravenclaws complain that I'm like ready with my TED talk to explain why the movies went with the choice. I don't understand the mascot change. Yeah, like we're not stupid. We can understand that an eagle for Ravenclaw is acceptable. Like we get it. We're good. Yeah. But the color I understand, because I'm also a very visual person. I'm an art student. I'm a theater kid backstage. Like I was a lighting designer. I know how color works. I know my color theory.
You're like, I get it.
So like, I understand it and I'm okay with the change. But if I'm ordering it in the book colors, I want it to be a pretty color, because bronze can very much go like gross dirt, put too much paint in the pan and it turned brown. Like,
yes. Yeah. It can become that very quickly, even with clay.
Yeah. And like with yarn, I had to find one that was more multi colors than a solid color, because all the and every time I see a scarf that is like the book colors and are solid, my judgmental brain inside my head is just like, oh, that was the wrong yarn.
You're like, that's not it. Try again.
Keep trying. Like, what was it? Box Lunch just put out a sweater that was like Ravenclaw book. That's not bronze, man. Yeah. That is, it looks kind of that like... is Hufflepuff yellow, and you wanted to save on yarn, so you used the same color.
Oh my God. They probably did, honestly. Oh my gosh.
I mean, yeah. I use, when I make my scarves, the color I use for Gryffindor's gold is actually the same as my Hufflepuff yellow, because when you pair it with the other color, it changes it enough and they still look good.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It serves multi-purposes. Yeah. So that was something that always kind of plagued me. I'm like, what do I, and okay, so it's good to get the perspective of you don't mind it.
I'm curious to see that, like when you have orders with that, what that looks like and who orders which.
Yeah. Cause I have I've been toying with some just house themed, something simple, like a particular type of dangle that I want to do that's house themed, or maybe even do a striping situation. But yeah, so I always was curious. I was like, what do Ravenclaws actually want? Because I would say most of the merch, most of the clothes you have are going to match. But yes, some people are very
they want
opinionated about it, which is reasonable. It is. I totally get it.
It's reasonable. They changed our colors and our mascot.
Yeah, you have there's some gripes I would have.
I can also vouch for I can also do we will accept both mascots because they both have good qualities as creatures.
True.
I can't accept. This is one that I didn't realize until I would talk to a knitter who was working on official Harry Potter patterns. If you see a lot with the eagle, you'll see more of a bald eagle look. Mm-hmm. There's no bald eagles in the UK. They are a North American bird, so it can't be a bald eagle.
Yeah, it can't be. Wow. That's a good tidbit.
It was Tanis Knits. She did the official Harry Potter knitting book. And she said when they first were working on that pattern, it initially came back to her as a bald eagle. She's like, no, those don't exist over there.
Yeah.
So they had to change.
Can't do it.
So they had to change the type of eagle. I was like, I had never thought of that because
that's really
in the US, America, bald eagles are everywhere.
Yeah, it's the vibe of the US,
that's the eagle that comes to your brain immediately. Talking about eagles, bald eagle, of course.
Yeah, it is. That's so interesting. I wouldn't have known that. That's a good tidbit. That's a fun fact.
So now when you see a bald eagle represented on Ravenclaw, you'll be like, they're still wrong.
Yeah, it's please don't purchase this. Don't support this action.
They're not a Ravenclaw. Yeah. They didn't do their research.
Exactly. They didn't get the receipts. They didn't do their homework. Yeah. So that's been an interesting one to think about for me. And I've been weirdly nervous about wait, what do I do? So when the suggestion came up to do both, I was like, I think that's fair because then people can choose what they want to do.
And then you'll see what people request more of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I just was really excited with what the line I just released. I finally did the book Accurate wax seal, which to me, I was like, I love it. They're one of my favorite pairs. It's so simple, but also if you know, it's such a small detail that I really enjoyed. Again, reading the books, being able to pull out these specific differences was kind of a fun thing to do.
That was, I don't know if you were on Kim's live. That's the one I was watching. And
really?
Everyone was freaking out. They're like, it's book accurate.
Yeah. I was like, and I know Kim especially appreciates it.
Yes.
I think a book accurate reference.
Yes. We like those references. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite product you have made?
My favorite product I have made, my favorite earring or my just favorite anything?
Anything you have made that is available in your shop.
I'm going to have to say my gold foil moons. Those that I mentioned earlier, they're one of my favorites because I think, again, it's a simple nod to something magical and it goes with pretty much everything. So it's a nice everyday wear earring that if you work a corporate job where you have to have fancy clothes.
Be more professional.
You can dress it up or down. Yeah. And you can bring a little magic. Like I really like Virginia's style. I think her handle's like robes for all occasions. I've again, someone I followed for a while, and probably early on in the Pottergram experience, like I was always just inspired by like her subtle nods to like Harry Potter and her like very fancy clothing that she'd wear, like her outfits. She'd have like a pin or a lapel, just like these little subtle nods or like a accessory or a hat. And I was always like, what a cute thing to just like add a touch of magic. And I think that's how I always like kind of wanted. Again, I have some things that are a lot more like obviously Harry Potter, but I think what I really liked were, especially early on when I started, just these like kind of subtle nods to Harry Potter. Like I have like some alocasia earrings that kind of look like the tops of mandrakes. And I'm like, okay, you could wear this and kind of get a mandrake vibe. So yeah, I appreciate like a subtle accessory.
It's also like the secret fan thing.
Yes.
Like
if you know, you know.
Like Brandon King Quidditch works in like law, and he posted a photo the other day of him in his Gryffindor tie, and he's like, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
it's like something he is representing himself, but he still looks completely professional without feeling like, not that you can't look professional in like fandom gear, but sometimes you're like right place, right time.
Yeah, and I love that. So I love that. I love like a subtle thing that, again, if you know, you know, because then if you see someone and you're walking, just like you cross by someone on the street, you're like, wait a second, I recognize that symbol or that color pattern or
one of us,
whatever it is. Yeah. And then you can like, I love it because it's an opening for a connection. Like I remember in high school, I'm still a huge music lover. And so I would collect like, this reminds me of like the nerd jacket because of her, literally Emily's jacket. But I used to have like pins and patches like on my backpack, on my purse. And to me, it was always the best conversation starter. It was like, oh, wait, you like this band or you like this organization or about like Amnesty International or, I feel like there are those are the cool things that it's like, if you're standing in line waiting to, do something and you see someone's fandom something, or it's a great way to make connections that I think like if you just did always you're like had no flair basically.
Yeah, it really is.
You miss out on.
I remember I went out to lunch with someone who was not a Harry Potter person, like never read the books, never saw the movies, wasn't like in that generation. And I had my Ravenclaw sweatshirt on. And we got stopped like 3 times because I was with her the whole day because we were working together and we were like traveling around. And finally, she's just like, what is going on that people just keep stopping to talk to you? And I'm like, well, this Harry Potter thing I talk about all the time. Like, it's one of the, and she's like, literally, you've been stopped multiple times. And usually like, I'm very shy talking to like strangers. And she's like, but you've been totally different. I'm like, it's the Harry Potter in me. Like, I'm not afraid to talk to someone about Harry Potter because I already know there's a connection there.
Yeah. And it's like, that's the thing, again, talking about like a safe place, it's like, you already know, like, if you like Harry Potter, like there's just something about people who like Harry Potter and it's really cool because you can experience it in your day to day. And it's funny that you bring up, like, you're willing to talk to anyone about Harry Potter, because I would say overall I'm pretty extroverted and I've done the parks a lot on my own. Like I'll just go for like an overnight trip and just have fun and then go home basically. But I meet like a lot of people just because I'm alone and I'm like, hi, if I look for other people who are maybe sitting alone, having a drink at the Leaky Cauldron and,
or even in line. I think I'm half your day.
I'm much more like excitable and chatty, like in that environment because it's like, okay, you're here because you love this. Like
you're wearing your house. Like I can already talk to you.
Exactly. And you have that kind of like instant connection with someone. And, honestly, it's just nice to like have that and have so much to talk about because as a whole, the franchise, there is like limitless things you can discuss about Harry Potter, like, which is so cool. And again, meeting so many new people and, honestly, I feel like some of the people I've met on the Pottergram have been better friends to me than some of the people I grew up with and I am or have known for a long time. And it's just like a testament to how cool the Pottergram is.
It really is. I mean, I fear for the person that gets on the wrong side of Paula's path. Like, she is like so
Talk about a force in this community. She is absolutely amazing. Like, I want to cry sometimes thinking about hanging out with her because she's so bubbly and happy and kind and funny. And
she's
like
fierce though. She's not just like one of those like happy, bubbly people. On the other side of it, you're not going to mess with her.
That's true.
Like, you're not, she is like proof that
her people.
Yeah. Like, she is living proof that Hufflepuffs will not get walked on.
That's true.
Because she is loyal and she is loyal. So if you cross and like hit that, she's fierce. Like, I'm fascinated to see what that looks like, but I'm terrified to see what that looks like.
Yeah, that poor person.
Yeah. And they must have done something really wrong to get on. Yeah. Like, I'm used to it from the Slytherins. I'm like, no, that's going to happen. But like, when you get on a Hufflepuff's bad side.
Yeah. You don't want to be.
No.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
It's such an amazing community.
It really is. Like, and I think that's the other thing to remember. I'm trying to think of who was the first person I met like in person from the Pottergram. Honestly, might have been Nicolette. We met. Jimmy was there. It was like, it was just, we had a drink. I think I had a pumpkin fizz for the first time with her. So it was like, I had already gone to Universal a few times, but on this trip, I like kind of tried to make a more concerted effort to be like, hey, I'm going. Does anyone want to like meet? And so I met with Nicolette. And then I think that same day later on, I met up with Karina. And then on a different trip, I met up with Paul. And I've met a bunch more now. People now, but yeah, it's kind of fun to think about like who was the first Pottergrammer. I think it was Nicolette, and she was just so kind, and everyone is like I don't know, I can't say even the people I haven't met. It's like it's so cool that people will check up on you. Like I don't really post all that often anymore. I need to get back to that, but I've been so busy with things, and but even when you're not posting, people are checking up on you and kind of saying like, how are you? And they're rooting for you behind the scenes, even when you maybe aren't like as active. And, that's the other thing. I don't feel like there's this pressure to be active on the Pottergram,
Not at all.
And I don't feel personally like any of my friendships on there have suffered with like my inactivity, which is also really cool. Cause sometimes I think when you like are less active, people just kind of start to fall off or, but it's not like that in the Pottergram. I feel like it's so unique in that way. And again, there's new people joining all the time, which is cool because there's always new people to discover. And, everybody I think does bring something unique to the table. I mean, even with your guys' challenge, it's been great to see how people are using the prompts and the unique approaches they're taking.
I love seeing the different takes. And also I will say like with the new people joining it's been 3 years since we started this. And I find so many new accounts that have like under 100 followers during this challenge. And I forget whose account it is, but there is one girl who started the Pottergram the first year I did the challenge. She saw the challenge, made an account. And like that, and she's like, yeah, it's my 3rd year anniversary because I started with this. I was like, that is crazy.
That's so cool.
But that's why I like always, when I make the prompts, I try to come up with things that are open-ended for because if I get too specific, I am personally like, I'm not a big merch person. I'm a big artwork person. But like when there's prompts that are like hyper specific, I sometimes can't fulfill them because I don't collect a lot of things. Yeah. So I like trying to make it that it's accessible to everyone because also not everyone has the funds to be able to have a collection.
Yeah. I mean, that's true. I mean, I have like, you can probably see, this is really kind of like what I have. And I think that's like, that is I would say one thing that can be difficult about Pottergram is like, you're constantly exposed to like new stuff. And there can be a sense of like, wait, I want that. And I do sometimes have to take a moment and be like, wait, do you actually want that? Or is it just new and exciting?
Yes.
And I think for me, a lot of things end up just being like new and exciting versus like
Funko Pops.
I have to have that. Yeah.
I had to limit.
I've got like maybe 5 Funko Pops.
And I love all of them. I sold a lot of mine because, and this is what happens with Funko Pops. If people see you have a Funko Pop, you start getting Funko Pops all the time. And I had bought one and I had it on my desk at work because I think it was the Luna one because I like the Luna.
Yeah. Is it Lionhead Luna? Because she's on my list.
It is Lionhead Luna.
She's on my list. Yeah.
So people would buy me pops.
Yeah.
And it's just like one of those things where I'm like, no, I can't do pops. I have a few. I have my favorites. I have non-Potter Pops, very few of them. I have Doctor Who ones. And then because I love Nessie, I have the Nessie Funko Pop that glows in the dark.
Okay. So I have, I've got one Winnie the Pooh Funko Pop, and then I've got a couple of Gravity Falls Funko Pops, which is the cartoon. But yeah. Otherwise just like 5 Harry Potter ones. Cause it can quickly escalate. Mm-hmm. So I've just definitely had to be more, like specific about my collection, but I truly do like love everything I have. I like a lot of like replica type things that are like, okay, this is a prop replica, or so there's some Noble Collection things that are definitely on my list.
I would love to have a Nimbus. My wall would look so good with a Nimbus and a lightsaber. I'm just saying.
I mean, I think like the Sword of Gryffindor would be fabulous in here, but that's going to be a while for me, and that's okay. You know, you can build up to it. Maybe I'll find like something Holy Grail like on like Facebook Marketplace or something.
Yeah, you never know. You never know.
It could happen. Got to hold out the hope.
So before we close out, why don't you let us know where we can find you and your shop on the social medias? Yeah, so my handle is at Magical Ashley and my shop is at Mad Ones Studio. Just on Instagram, I do have a Facebook page for my business. So again, it's the same facebook.com/Mad Ones, but don't really use that so much. And really just like Instagram. I think that's kind of how a lot of us are. And is there anything else you would like to share?
No, I just want to say thank you so much for having me. I've been a fan of the podcast, and I'm just excited to have been included. And I appreciate you. Thank you so much, Dani.
Thank you for joining. And people, make sure to go enter the contest and to check out the shop. And then I think that is it. And until next time, keep creating.
Now, if you two don't mind, I'm going to bed before either of you come up with another clever idea to get us killed. Or worse, expelled.